Hello, and welcome to a very tentative episode of the Weekly Waypoint because, well, it's been quite a week. And I wasn't sure I'd have a working PC at the time of recording. And if you are listening to this, sorry, by the time of recording, and if you're listening to this, then the good news is that clearly I was able to render and upload this video, but both of those things, the rendering and the uploading, are still in question because A, rendering the video puts my computer under a lot of strain, and while it's been fine for the last 3 or 4 or so days, and I don't think that the issues I were having were due to strain, I am still a little bit paranoid about that. But B, did I say 1 or A? Either way, the second point is that my internet for the last 2 days now has been intermittently cutting out and just being generally really fucking slow, so I don't know how I'm gonna get this uploaded. I mean, just recording this now, I've just looked down at my internet and it says I have none, so this is going fucking spectacularly. Apparently, my Wi-Fi router doesn't even exist. So there's that, but that's a problem for a future Christian. Clearly I solved it, because you're listening to this. I'm not going to talk about it too much, because it's fucking depressing as shit, and this isn't really what I like to do here in the Weekly Waypoint, but I do want to address the fact that because I'll probably be watching this back at some point in the future, and it's good to kind of like give contextual context. That was a really good phrase, well done. I would like to give mention to the fact that this is the week where the absolute shit smear on this planet that is Vladimir Putin decided to march into Ukraine and murder a bunch of innocent people. Like the incessant expletive he is. Obviously, I record this video on a Sunday. I don't know what the situation is going to be like this time tomorrow. It's very much a day-by-day basis. Could look very different. Who knows, watching this years from now, if this was the start of a big, horrible war, or if this was the downfall of Vladimir Putin, or if this was a little skirmish that unfortunately didn't get much reaction. Looks like it's probably not going to be the last one, for better or for worse. There's also the, can't believe I'm saying this, very real chance that I won't be watching this a few years from now, because I'll be dead, because he's got nukes. And I know that everyone who's lived through the 70s is going, oh yeah, we've been through this before, but like, hi, my first time here, very scary. How did you guys live like this? Like, I put this on Twitter, but boy do I miss the time when my anxiety about the end of the world was irrational. Because right now it's pretty fucking rational. So yeah, I don't mean to make Grid this staple in the Weekly Waypoint of always being my go-to for when I want to talk about serious bad shit that's happened, not just in my life this time around. But I guess here we are again, it's Grid. I didn't do this on purpose. I realised halfway through recording my racing that oh no, it's Grid, and once again I'm talking about a very serious and miserable topic, because last time I did a Grid video in the Weekly Waypoint I was talking about the time I got hacked, which I legitimately think had a bad effect on my mental health. Like, it really fucking shook me because they were taking money out of my account and stuff, and it was a whole thing. You can go back and listen to it. Like, it wasn't that serious in the grand scheme of things. It was like 40 quid and I got it back, but it shook me. I don't need to justify why it shook me. My feelings are valid. Fuck you, me. I also noticed that episode 100 was around the time we were going into lockdown for COVID, and now around about episode 200 is around about the time all this happens, so I'm really sorry if I end up making it to 300 episodes, because clearly the world can't handle the Weekly Waypoint. It's not really a kind of thing to joke about, but you know, I guess here we are. So yeah, for that, for my personal reasons, for global reasons, and for several other reasons, it's been a really shit week. But I still got some video game time, and I still have things to talk about, so with all of that swept under the rug, which now looks like, you know, like when you go past the tip and it's like these grassy hills and you're like, I know what's under them hills. That's the kind of rug we've got now. So now that I'm 4 minutes into the video, I wish I could, well, part of me wishes I could say there wasn't a lot to talk about because I've already burned 4 minutes whinging about issues, but there is a lot to talk about, so I better go on with talking about it. So for the last 2 weeks I've meant to include this, but I keep forgetting, so I'm going to put it at the start. I've started a project, which you may have seen on Twitter, called, well, it's not called anything. Why do projects always have to have a name? But basically, and you might be like, how is just listening to a podcast a project? I'll get to it. I've started listening to an old podcast called Extra Life Radio, which isn't available on Spotify because, guess what? It was pre-Spotify. This is a podcast started by Scott Johnson of the Frog Pants Network, known for shows such as The Instance, which just this week ended, sadly, and Core, and other gaming podcasts and stuff. He used to do a podcast called Extra Life Radio, and it was... I've already lost track of what I've said already. It started in 2004, and I find old gaming media like that to be fascinating. It's like, obviously I lived through 2004, but I was 9 years old, so it's a very different perspective on gaming to what I would have had. I would have just had, oh, this game on the shop shelf looks good, I'll buy it, as opposed to like, oh, this game was made by these developers. I wonder what, the way we look at games now is kind of how he was looking at them back then. But also, it's like one-way time travel, because it's like, oh, there's rumoured to be another Dragon Age game in development and stuff. Oh, well, we're not quite that far forwards in the future yet, we're still in 2004, but you know what I mean. Like, he'll talk about rumours, and half of the time I'll be like, oh yeah, and that turned out to be that game, and now the other half of the time I'll be like, I'm sorry, what? Okay, nothing ever came of that. It's also a product of its era. Like, just for one really basic example, and I'm going to use a bad word here, but like, he uses the word retarded all the time, which we've all kind of decided to grow out of using. Like I say, it's a product of its era. Back in 2004 we were all saying it, and there's some stuff like that in there, but he's a decent dude, and it's nothing horrible like racist shit in there or anything. So just be aware if you are going to go back and listen through it, that stuff is in there. But it's fascinating to me. I can't express how much it's fascinating to me, especially since he predicted World of Warcraft's like explosive success. Like, he didn't just predict that it was going to be a success, he predicted it was going to be like the thing that made MMORPGs like what they are today. Like, it's crazy. Okay, so last week I talked about getting Dragon Quest VII, and I can't remember. I was going to go back and watch the video, but my internet's been so shit I gave up on it. I can't remember if I mentioned Dragon Quest VIII, but I did end up getting Dragon Quest VIII because my copy of frickin' Hyrule Warriors on the Switch sold, because I never got on with that game. I never resell games, but because this is kind of a time-sensitive issue, I kind of needed to raise some funds quickly, and I thought, luckily I bought this game physically because it's one of the biggest regret gaming purchases of my life, so I sold it for a handy £35, which, covered the costs of Dragon Quest VIII. So I'm not going to start Dragon Quest VIII until I finish Dragon Quest VII, which is a big ask because Dragon Quest VII is fucking huge. I'm a little ways through Dragon Quest VII now, probably around 7 or 8 hours, maybe a bit more, and I'm starting to see the kind of concept behind that game and the way its story is told, and I'm absolutely loving it. I know people tend to prefer Dragon Quest VIII, but I think Dragon Quest VII easily has the more interesting premise. It's so cool, and I'm not going to give too much away about it, because even the premise, like, it's not a huge spoiler, it's only a few hours into the game, and it's stuff that's on the back of the box, but it's just cool, okay? Whereas while I'm sure Dragon Quest VIII is a fantastic game because people love it so much, the premise sounds extremely vanilla. Also, I hit that because I was checking my phone. Don't judge me. Also, this week, World of Warcraft patch 9.2 came out, and I was very excited to play it, and the day it came out is when my PC first started developing issues. It made really loud grinding noises every time I turned it on. I opened it up, dusted it out, same problem. Couldn't figure out a workaround for the problem. Any sane person would just replace the fan, because, that's what the issue is. It's either my CPU fan or my back fan. It's probably my CPU fan, judging by where the vibrations were coming from. But I was looking into getting a new PC instead, because this PC is 6 years old, and therefore I feel like if I start replacing parts, it's just going to be a race against time with all of the parts failing and me not knowing how to replace them, and it's just going to be stressful and a money sink. And I guess buying an entirely new PC would be more of a money sink right now, but I'm still considering it, honestly. I would rather it hold out until I've fully paid off my Xbox, which will take about 8 more months, so hopefully it will. The day after it had issues, I turned it on and it was completely fine, and it's been fine ever since. So I'm just kind of side-eyeing it whenever it's turned on now, waiting for it to just start screaming at me again. Hopefully that doesn't happen. We'll see how it handles rendering. But yeah, I was pretty miffed because obviously was looking forward to playing 9.2. Did manage to play some 9.2 in the end. As usual with a World of Warcraft patch, I felt like it was very strong in its opening questing, and then it does what every WoW patch does. It gives way to just like, okay, and now you've got these dailies to do, and that's it. you're done for the day. Come back tomorrow. Okay, a couple more dailies. That's it. You're done for the day. Like, wait until like the next week where the next story quest will become available, and it's just such like a stark difference between story content and then nothing. And I really enjoy Zeref Mortis. I think it's a beautiful zone. But honestly, the way that they've kind of distributed rewards and cycles and things to do in this patch, I haven't seen this criticism anywhere online, but I feel like it's quite empty, and not because of a lack of content, but for the way it's dispersed. Like, there'll be like maybe 2 or 3 world quests up at a time, you know, combined with like 2 dailies, but the dailies don't give rep, only the world quests give rep. The dailies give something else, but like the stuff you're unlocking through the Cipher of the World quests, the Cipher of the first ones just doesn't feel rewarding. It just feels so like piecemeal, and I don't know, I got back into WoW not because I wanted to play 9.1 and not because I wanted to play 9.2, but because I wanted to play World of Warcraft as World of Warcraft, leveling lots of alts up, farming old raids for transmog gear, filling out my collections, and I think I need to go back and keep focusing on that, because I'm gonna be honest, 9.2 hasn't really impressed me. I'll keep checking back every week for the story, but honestly, I'm more inclined to grind Corvia rep than Zeref Mortis rep, because like, that seems more traditional at least, and I don't know, it isn't doing it for me, I guess. In other news, and these 2 pieces of conversation I guess go hand in hand, No Man's Sky got a new update, so me and Reese kinda dived back into that. It's a combat update that focuses on making the combat better, because combat in No Man's Sky sucked, at least on the ground, and I've gotta say, I don't know if I'm just using the wrong multi-tool, but it doesn't feel that different or much better. It's definitely better, but not by much. I was kind of hoping that they would go for, like, when they said combat overhaul, I was hoping they would go for a full-on, like, oh, like, the gunplay feels like actual gunplay now, and not just, like, I don't know, just so floaty and just so basic. Like, if No Man's Sky, obviously this is a massive ask and I wouldn't actually expect this, but if No Man's Sky had, like, Destiny's gunplay, like, just, like, with a basic weapon, it would be so much better. But either way, it has got me back into playing No Man's Sky, and the other topic I was going to say alongside it is I streamed some of it too, natively through the Xbox, because at the time my PC was fucked, and I just wanted to see if I could make some content natively from my Xbox, because as I've mentioned in the past, when you save a clip, it's not like the PlayStation 4 where it uses your microphone for whatever reason. It just fucking doesn't have an option for that, and it still, to the best of my knowledge, does not, which is still infuriating. But anyway, I live streamed it. I live streamed some Hitman 3 the other day as well. So basically, it's been a while since I streamed, and I'm kind of getting back into it, because streaming from your Xbox does seem to just kind of work, which is nice. As you can see, I fucked the ending of that race, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, that was Grid. That was another episode of the Weekly Waypoint. Hopefully next week will be slightly more cheerful, slightly less, you know, fucking this. Just, you can hear it in my voice. See you next week.